Welcome back to the channel today. We're exploring one of the smaller yet truly iconic pieces of Australian currency, the 2-cent coin from 1975. At first glance, it might seem like just a small bronze piece of change, but when you look a little deeper, you'll find that this coin tells an interesting story about Australia's decimal currency, about its unique wildlife, and about the time period in which it circulated. So, let's dive into the history, the design, and the legacy of the 1975 Australian 2-cent coin. Background of the 2-cent coin. The 2-cent coin was first introduced in 1966, when Australia made its bold move to decimal currency, leaving behind the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. Alongside the 1-cent piece, the 2-cent was designed to handle the smallest everyday transactions. For decades, it was a familiar part of daily life in Australia, jingling in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the nation. By 1975, the 2-cent coin was already a well-established part of circulation, and millions of Australians used it without a second thought. The 1970s was a period of stability for Australia's decimal coins, with the designs remaining unchanged from their introduction in 1966. This consistency meant that the coins became iconic, recognized instantly by anyone who used them. And while inflation would eventually reduce the usefulness of the smaller denominations, coins like the 1975 2-cent played an important role in the everyday economy of the time. Design features. The design of the 1975 2-cent coin is instantly recognizable. On the obverse side, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait, introduced in 1966, was used on Australian coins until 1984. It shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a graceful and familiar image that Australians saw on all their coinage for nearly 2 decades. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions Elizabeth II and Australia 1975, clearly identifying the monarch, the issuing country, and the year of minting. On the reverse, we find one of the most beloved designs in Australian numismatics, the frilled neck lizard, sometimes called the frill-necked lizard. This dramatic and distinctive reptile is shown in a curled pose with its frills spread wide, designed by Stuart Devlin, the royal goldsmith appointed by the Queen. Devlin was responsible for many of Australia's decimal coin designs, and his work combined elegance with distinctly Australian themes. The large numeral 2 sits alongside the lizard, making the denomination clear. Specifications and appearance. The 1975 2-cent coin was struck in bronze, with a composition of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. Each coin weighs 5.2 grams and has a diameter of 21.59 millimeters. When freshly minted, the coin displayed a warm, reddish-brown tone, though with circulation many examples have darkened to deeper browns or even developed subtle color variations over time. In circulated condition, the finer details of the Queen's portrait and the lizard's frill often show signs of wear, but uncirculated examples still shine beautifully, capturing the detail of Stuart Devlin's design. Mintage and circulation. In 1975, the Royal Australian Mint produced a significant number of 2-cent coins to meet circulation needs. Tens of millions were struck, making the 1975 issue common at the time and still relatively easy to find today. Because of this high mintage, the 1975 2-cent is not considered rare, but it remains an important piece for anyone building a complete collection of Australia's decimal coinage. Many of these coins circulated heavily throughout the 1970s and 1980s, and by the time the denomination was withdrawn in 1992, countless 1975 examples had passed through the hands of everyday Australians. Collector value. From a collector's standpoint, the 1975 2-cent coin is usually modest in value, particularly in circulated condition. Well-worn examples can often be found for face value or in bulk coin lots. However, coins in mint state condition, those that were never used in circulation and still retain their original shine, are much more appealing. Brilliant uncirculated examples can fetch a few dollars from collectors, and proof coins from special sets carry even greater desirability. While not a rare date, the 1975 issue holds its own charm as part of a complete decimal collection. Cultural and historical significance. Beyond its physical design and mintage, the 1975 2-cent coin is tied to a sense of nostalgia for many Australians. It represents the small change of everyday life in the 1970s, pocket money for children, small purchases at corner shops, or coins rattling in jars at home. The frilled neck lizard design became an enduring part of Australia's decimal coinage identity, reminding us of the unique wildlife that makes the country so special. For many collectors and Australians alike, this coin is more than just bronze. It is a connection to a particular time in the nation's history. Closing thoughts. The 1975 Australian 2-cent coin may not be rare or highly valuable, but it is without a doubt meaningful. It reflects the early years of decimal currency, showcases one of Australia's most distinctive animals, and carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II that defined a generation of coins. For collectors, it's a small but important piece of a larger story, and for anyone who remembers using it, it's a tangible link to the everyday life of the past. So, if you come across a 1975 2-cent coin, take a moment to appreciate it. It may be small in size, but it holds a big place in the history of Australian currency. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this look at the 1975 2-cent coin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more coin stories from around the world, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you have any 2-cent coins in your collection? I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, happy collecting!